There we go.
I don't usually record my sessions when I'm coaching people, so it's usually they record it. So let me remind myself to be sharper next time. Okay, where'd my deck go? Okay. Mm. So we're going to interview Mark today, and we're going to learn all about what makes him awesome as a communication coach, a guru, keynote speaker, author, and our president. And NCCA Canada is a nonprofit home for Canadian communication coaches and trainers. And we like to promote professional standards. We offer communication coach certification or designation, and we have professional development and networking events, webinars, or in person, and they are always open to anyone. If you'd like to know more about our events, you can go to our events page, check out our calendar or our gallery showing pictures of other events, like you see a couple photos here. And we also have social media presence on X, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So if you're ever curious, just reach out and learn more about NCCA Canada. Thank you for joining today on our webinar in June. So today's topic, we are going to interview the expert, lessons from Mark Bowden on coaching and communication. And you can see the questions here. I'll let you look at them now, and then I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we're going to have a conversation with Mark. So what is the truth plane? Launching a coaching and training business, writing and launching books, early days versus now, what's in demand, who needs a communication coach, top 3 tips for any professional to stand out, win trust, and gain credibility. And at the end, we'll do some Q&A with the public, time permitting. Just so you know, Mark and I have not talked about these questions ahead of time. I don't know what he's going to say. So it's always fun for me as well to interview Mark. So having said all that, let me just stop sharing and change the view to speaker view. Okay, Mark, ready?
Ready. Let's go, Rick. Let's go.
We're jumping right into it. We're jumping right into it. My first question, as you know, is simply speaking, what is the truth plane? For those that don't know or know a little bit, what is the truth plane?
Yeah. Okay. So when I first started out uh, doing communication training, coaching, I had this methodology around the horizontal height that you present your hands or any object, any, let's say, prop that you might have. The horizontal height that you're gesturing at has the most fundamental effect on how the audience view, rate, assess your feelings and intentions towards them. And one of the gesture planes I called the truth plane, which is navel height here. Not because when somebody gestures there, they're telling you the truth, but if you are viewing somebody gesturing in the truth plane, you are most likely to feel like they're being authentic, feel like they're being honest, truthful, sincere, though that may not be the case. And this was back in, I've been doing this since I was 21, essentially. So that's a while back now. That's more than 30 years ago, I think, from my mathematics. Um, and nobody else was training speakers in this methodology, essentially. And I thought it was so good, I named the company after it as well. So TruthPlane is the communication training company, but also it's the singularly most important technique that I train people in. There are other gesture planes, by the way, but the truth plane, because most people are looking most likely for trust and credibility when they're communicating, it's the most effective intervention into how the audience is viewing you. So that's the story, Rick. I hope that makes sense to you and everybody watching and listening.
Indeed. And I think that people may say, although that truth plane sounds very, very impressive, would other people, clients or readers of your book, et cetera, want to know more about the other planes? And how do you decide what are the other important planes to discuss or what can be kind of tossed aside? Like, how do you know what's good for the business clients?
Yeah, look, I try and keep things very, very simple. So, on the whole, the truth plane is going to be the most useful, most effective, most used, because most people in business, their issue is going to be trust and credibility. Regardless of how trustworthy and credible they think they are, how knowledgeable they might be, around their subject or how great their product and service will be, they will walk in front of a certain audience, be it one or many, and they will be triggered with fear, essentially. And at that point, they will start leaking signals of that fear and distress and instability. And those signals will trigger their audience into not trusting them, not feeling they're credible, regardless of the amount of certificates on their wall, regardless of how credible their product or services be. It will reduce their credibility. And the best countermeasure for that is using the TruthPlane. Yeah. Now, could other planes be used for other reasons? Yeah, you got the passion plane up at chest height. That will send your audience's heart rate, breathing rate up. It'll get them more excited. So should you want to get your audience excited, you want to be up in the passion plane up here. If you go down to the grotesque plane, I'll just move back a bit. If I go down to the grotesque plane, which is hands below waist height, it will seem unengaged, more lethargic, more covert, certainly, because now you can't, in this image, you can't see my hands so well. So could I use this? Look, I could say something like this in the TruthPlane. Last year, the company made $5 million in profit, which is a fantastic amount. I'm really pleased about that. I could say it up in the passion plane. Last year, the company made $5 million in profit, which is a fantastic amount. I'm really pleased about that. I could say it in the grotesque plane. Last year, the company made $5 million in profit, which is a fantastic amount. I'm really pleased about that. All the same numbers, all the same audited numbers by KPMG. But you got a different idea about my feeling and intention and my trustworthiness around those numbers. Now, I also could do this. Last year, the company made $5 million in profit, which is a fantastic amount. I'm really pleased about that. Now, this year, we're going for $20 million. It's an extraordinary amount, I know. It's extreme by anybody's imagination. And I have to say, there are people outside of this conversation that we're having today who think it can't be done. They just think it's not possible. But I have to say, we're doing those numbers, and we're doing those numbers right now. So in that particular case, Rick, I chose the gesture plane that I'm using in order to inform you as to what my feeling and intention is and trigger you to adjust your feelings about the numbers based on the horizontal height that I'm gesturing. It's more influential and persuasive. And by the way, Rick, if you don't need to influence and persuade people, you don't need any of this. Just send them a PDF with the numbers on. You're done. It's easy. If you're in the business of influence and persuasion, i.e. you don't have a monopoly of some sort, you're not a government organization that is going to be voted out very quickly, or you have a monopoly, you don't need any of this. Okay. You're good. They have to buy from you. Now, if you're in competition, now you're probably going to want to influence and persuade people. And then the gesture planes may well be helpful to you.
Excellent. So it's a great demonstration, and I love how you put it all together as well. I think a lot of people, even if they're discovering this for the first time, can see that, they can feel that, they can hear that, they can try that.
Yeah.
So my next question, I want to start going towards the entrepreneurship route here. What point did you say to yourself, I think there's a business here. I think I can teach other people, or I'm going to make a go at it. Just let us know a little bit about the beginnings of TruthPlane, the company, or you as a communication coach trainer.
Yeah, so I first started helping people with their communication in theatre, film, and TV. I was working with actors. I was performing myself, directing, producing, and training actors all over the world. Okay, and this gesture plane system was part of the process that I was using to help people understand a fuller vocabulary of their movement and gesture, and therefore the effect, the very profound effect and ordered effect they could have on an audience's mind. And then somebody in politics, PR, came along to me in London and went, I've heard about what you're doing with actors. Could you do that with politicians? I said, yeah, I reckon I could. So I started doing that with a PR company with politicians. And then after that, moved to business. When I found business, now politicians only need you, roughly every 5 years, depending on the democracy. They only get worried every now and again. And once they're in, it's like, it's a monopoly. at that point. Okay. But every 5 years, so there's no business in that. I would say there's marquee clients. I can say that I've trained a number of prime ministers of the G7. But, am I doing that every day? No, no, because they have the monopoly for most of their time. Now, in business, once I discovered business, number one, Rick, I'll be candid with you and everybody here, I realized how low the bar was on communication. It's like, wow. Okay, I understand they've spent a lot of time with the economics of all of this and the mathematics and coming up with ideas, but their ability to communicate was like, they just don't know anything. It was like, how are they making a presentation? They're opening up the last PowerPoint they ever made and just filling in new data and thinking that that will convince people. So I was like, this is amazing because what I was training actors in, they were astonished with, and they were professional communicators, and they were like, wow, why didn't we know this at the start of our training? Why didn't I know this 20 years ago? You imagine when I train somebody in business, their mind is just blown. What, you can on command alter the way somebody is assessing the numbers with the horizontal height that you hold your hands? Yeah, you can and you can predict how they're going to talk to other people about then those numbers. You can define the conversations that they start having with other people. So the cascade effect, as we call it in behavior, is incredible within business because you could put forward a number, deliver that number, define how the audience were going to evaluate that number, and then define how they were going to propagate that evaluation to loads of other people. So the economics of it was fantastic in business. The bar was low. When you and I first met, Rick, which is going to be like 20 years ago or something like that, there was really, from my assessment, there was really nobody else doing this apart from you that I could see in Canada. I knew of a few people who were doing it in the UK, but just a few. Maybe a few in the US, but really, again, but the ability, the technology that they had, the understanding that they had was really very, very limited. And so it just seemed like a great business to be part of. I mean, go and be part of a business where there's very little competition.
Right. Right.
Be really good
Yeah.
and have very little competition. And that seemed to work.
It's a winning formula. Now, piggybacking on what you just said, you and I met because your publisher sent me a copy of your book, When Body Language, which I still have here. I got mine first. Oh, I got it. So that's how we met. We met for a coffee to discuss the book, and then we bonded, and ever since. So my next question is, tell me a little bit about the book stuff. Like, when did you decide you want to write a book? Did someone say you're just going to do it because we need it? How has that been for you? Because I think some other people that may listen to our interview might be coaches, authors, trainers, or want to be authors. They're curious about how one gets a successful book going.
Yeah. Look, my route to that has been easier than others. What happened was about 15 years ago, McGraw-Hill came to me and said, we want a book on body language. We think you're the person to write it. They literally said that on the phone. And I went, oh, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely correct in that. And then I signed a contract, and then I went, okay, right, how am I going to write a book? How am I going to write a book? Ever since then, whenever I've put proposals forward for books, apart from in one case, which I'll tell you about, the publishers have gone, oh, we don't get it. We don't understand it. Yeah. And I've gone, well, what do you want then? And they've gone, well, we want this. And I go, okay, well, I'll write that then. So I've been kind of commissioned all the way. There was only one exception, which was, I think it was Wiley came to me and said, we'd like a book from you. And I said, well, there's this book that McGraw-Hill don't understand, which I pitched to them as a second book. And they said, we don't understand it. And I went away and rewrote the the premise for it. And they went, we still don't understand it. I think I went and did it again. And they went, we still don't get what this is about. And I said, oh, well, what do you want then? And they said, well, how about winning body language for sales? And I said, oh, what, you just want a franchise? And they said, yeah. And I said, look, I could kind of get somebody else to write that. And they went, okay. So it's like, oh, all right. So I started to understand. The more I publish books, the less I understand it, and the more I understand it. It's that they saw what they thought they could sell. Yeah. And when they said to me, hey, what would you like to write? They were really looking for a conversation on, can we convince you to write what we know we can sell? Okay. So when Wiley came along, I said, well, there's this idea for a book that McGraw-Hill say they don't understand. I'll send you that. And they looked at it and went, oh, we completely understand this. Oh, yeah, go and write this. Now, whether they did or not, I don't know. But they commissioned it, and I wrote Tame the Primitive Brain, which I think is probably the best book that I've written. I think it's a brilliant book. It's the least sold. I think it's the best. But there we go. So and in the case of Truth and Lies, which was the last book that I wrote with Tracy Thompson, in that case, HarperCollins came along, thank you, and said, we want a book on reading body language to fill a gap in the market because our current book on reading body language has got a little bit dated. Would you write that book on reading body language? And I said, not really interested in that, but I will write you a book on critical thinking disguised as a book on reading body language. They went, okay, as long as somebody picking it up would kind of imagine it's a book on reading body language, we're good with that. So I went and wrote that with Tracy. Really, for me, this book is about critical thinking. That's the model in there. What I do is explain critical thinking via the idea of reading body language. Okay. And I think that's fascinating because the idea of reading body language is really interesting, and its possibility is lower than most people would imagine. But if you use critical thinking, you can get really closer to the truth of what's going on. Anyway, Rick, I hope that explains the unbelievable for me and incomprehensible nature of the book industry. I still don't understand how it works, or how anybody has a job in it at all, least of all me. But here I am. I've written 4 books with some co-authors as well, and they're in many, many different languages as well. And it's been great doing it, but it's not the route of a lot of people. A lot of people put forward their idea for a book, and it gets rejected and rejected and rejected and rejected. And I can quite see why. Listen, when people ask me, Mark, what's your advice on writing a book? I say the only difference between you and me is I finished one. That's it. I finished 4, in fact. But most people don't finish. So my advice on writing a book is create a system whereby you are most likely to finish writing it. Yeah. And as fast as possible, because otherwise it'll go on and on and on. And the longer it goes on, the less likely you'll complete. But once you've got that thing finished, oh, and by the way, it doesn't have to be any good. You let the readers decide if it's any good. You just need a finished book. They'll decide if it's good or not. You just need a finished book. Once you've got that, then I think a whole bunch of other possibilities and avenues open up for you, especially in this day and age.
Let me just add a quick summary to that again for the other people that may be new to this industry as well. An expert having a book, even if it's self-published or printed off or something, not as high level even, it's something that allows them to keynote speak or to advertise, add credibility, to create a course out of that, to create podcast interviews, et cetera. So that's why we're bringing up this topic today, is that a book, even as you said, even one that's maybe not the best work ever out there, but it's going to open up some opportunities for you as the entrepreneur or the coach. Excellent.
Yeah, totally agree.
My next question on the list is early days versus now, what's in demand? So again, just one or two things that if you wanted to compare yesteryear, 20 years, I'm not even sure, 30 to 15 to now in terms of coaching and training, has the demand changed or not?
Yeah, massively. I think for me, and I'd love your opinion on this or anybody's opinion here, I think COVID radically changed the atmosphere for communication. Because at the point of COVID, being adept at communication under stress, which is kind of what this is for
Mhm.
most people when COVID came, that wasn't a nice to have. That was essential to have. Became essential to do this really well and better than your competitors. And at that point, my clients weren't going, hey, it'd be kind of nice for you to come and do a keynote, or it'd be nice for you to do a training, or nice for. They were like, we got to get this. We got to get this as soon as possible. This is absolutely essential. Like our business is dying right now because we're on cameras trying to get our message across and it's not working. And there's so much stress and pressure. And so it raised the profile and bar on communication. And I think that has now continued. I think AI is going to is causing that to continue even more, because now the most premium experience is being live face to face in real world with another human being. That's what people are going to pay premium for. Well, that's what they're going to expect if they're buying a premium product or service. They want to sit down face to face with somebody in real life, drink a cup of coffee with them or something else, and ask them the questions that they need answering and get the answer from them there and then and be able to look truly into their eyes. Because I'm sure you've seen it, Rick, and everybody here has seen it, is it's becoming increasingly difficult to know whether that was a real interview or not. Is that really that person saying that? I mean, really? What is true trust and credibility now? Face to face in real life. Now we can all do that within certain economics. So now it becomes, how good are you at doing that? Like, who's the best at doing that? Because now that's true, that's competitive trust and credibility. Like, who is the best at getting up in front of that 5,000 people, the CEO of a company, and convincing them of something? They're going to win. They're going to win in that live situation. Sure, the competitors can put out a propagation of a message, but everybody's going, well, was that really them? I mean, was it edited? I mean, who wrote that script? I mean, I didn't get to ask them that difficult question and see that look on their face when they were surprised by that and how they dealt with that.
Mhm.
So I think it's radically changed. When I started out, Rick, I was kind of a nice thing to do. We can do some training on communication. It would be really nice. Oh, I'm going to get Mark in to coach me. That's a nice thing to do. Yeah. Rather than, we are absolutely going to crash and burn if we don't use Mark. Now that's the situation that people are in now. They're really going, this is our advantage right now. Great communication. So for everybody out there, whether you're a communication trainer of some sort, a coach, or whether you're wanting to receive that, you're interested in communication, never before, I think, have we been in a situation where you need to double down on how much you're marketing or how much you're getting training. Like, this is a great time for us, I
Mhm.
think, whether you're wanting to be a great communicator or you're training other people to be great communicators.
Yeah, I think so. And I think COVID is a very good way to separate, looking at the way the businesses have changed, ours and other people's. This, when you were on Zoom, when other people had to go on Zoom or what have you, it's sink or swim time. And people
Yeah.
that weren't used to it, they really struggled. And I remember your videos. I'm plugging your YouTube channel, but when you'd have videos not just about how to Zoom, but just not just the equipment you'd use, but looking at artists, how they would use distances and coloring, and people were like, "Wow, I never thought about that," because they didn't have to.
Yeah.
And then when you end up training people at Zoom, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, like that's really a serious thing. And so, and now it's AI, as you mentioned. It's like, well, is that real or not? And how do we know? And how do we compete with that? So there's a whole new level here. So I agree with you. There's more and more communication coaches, or the communication conversation happening on LinkedIn and all over the place about this. The competition's fierce in some ways, but the interest is higher, right? And
Mm.
so it's good as well. So that would bring me to my next question, which is, who needs a communication coach? It's a little bit open-ended question, but who should hire a communication coach?
Yeah. I mean, back to that thing of, if you've got a monopoly and you have no competition, you don't need one. Like, don't even get out of bed. Like it's just they have to buy from you. You have no competition. Now, if you're like most of us where you have some competition, and by the way, if you have competition but you are winning and you think you're always going to win, like you don't need help. If you're getting everything that you want at the economics that you want it at, you don't need me, you know? Now, if you're finding that you're not getting what you want at the rate and economics that you want it, communication could be the issue here. Now, it could be a whole bunch of other things. Okay. If you come to me, I'll probably tell you it's communication because that's what I sell. Okay. I might go, you know what, this is not for me. I think this is some other factor in there. But an intervention within the structure of the communication can make an incredible difference. And if you know that you're not getting what you need at the rate that you need it, at the economics that you need it, and you know that communication is the thing letting you down, you're not going to work out how to do it on your own. I guarantee you that. Mm-hmm. Like you can, like best of luck. Like it took me a long time to get good at this. Mm-hmm. And I was riding on the shoulders of some incredible giants going back in history to about the 9th century or, you know, BC. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, you know, there's a lot of history in what I do, a lot of innovation, and you could stumble over it, and good luck if you do, but the likelihood is you won't. It'll be too late, and a little bit of knowledge is a bad thing. Like I sometimes see people approximating elements of the system that I train people in, and you go, oh gosh, you don't know that, do you? You don't, because you got that one off you got the minute off the internet, mm-hmm. rather than an hour with me. And what you don't know is actually the thing that's letting you down. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So a little bit of knowledge can be a bad thing. You need a coach or some kind of help or training. If you see communication as the barrier and you want to fix that really economically and for the long term, and have somebody who you can keep going back to going, hey, what about this now? Because you'll keep on developing. Mm-hmm. You know, you'll keep on raising the bar, and the bar will change as well as the landscape changes. You need new vocabulary, or sometimes you need an expert or a coach who can keep you tied into the old vocabulary and go, don't change the horse now. I know that the atmosphere seems dramatically different, but nothing has really changed. Keep riding in that way right now. That will work forever. Yeah, until I tell you that the atmosphere has changed dramatically enough. So I hope that answers your question there.
It does. And it I wanted to ask your opinion on the title, not title, but the phrase that communication is a soft skill. Yeah. Should we be changing that word? It's not a soft skill, it's a what skill, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, if people are happy with it, if it keeps them comfortable enough,
yeah,
you know, it's an essential skill.
Right.
I mean, it's a dangerous skill.
Right.
I mean, soft wouldn't be the way that I would title it. But if people want to do that, best of luck to them. But the way I would reframe it is it's essential and it's dangerous for everybody. And because it's a high risk skill, there is risk management needed in it. And so there's money in it. There's commerce in it. Because anywhere there is, all business ever does is to manage risk. Okay. And I challenge anybody to tell me I'm wrong on that. All business is risk management. Yeah. All of it. Yeah. Whether you're baking a cake or you're drilling for oil or you're, you know, auditing books or whatever it is it's all risk management. Okay. And so what we're doing as communication trainers is to help people manage the risk of their communication. I heard one person say in the last few years, the moment you open your mouth, you have your chances of offending just escalated. The moment you start to speak, you're now running the risk of offense. So if you don't want to offend, don't open your mouth. And you might go, well, I don't mean to be offensive. I know, no, who does? But the moment you open your mouth, the risk has started. And I think the moment you've shown up in the room, the moment your physical presence is there, you are now in a risky situation. Okay. And you can see the escalation of risk. Well, now you're in front of 5,000 people. Now you're in front of that one person who could give you $5 million. The risk is massive.
Yep.
So what do you want to do to mitigate that risk? Do you want a soft skill? or do you want an essential and dangerous skill to have? I'd want those other two.
Exactly right. And it sort of reminds me as well as the idea of body language. A lot of people say, I want to learn body language so I can read people and read the poker table, et cetera. And we're kind of like, how about you learn body language so you can present yourself better and mitigate risks and, send the right vibe. Exactly.
Totally.
Okay. Last question. Top 3 tips for any professional to stand out, win trust, gain credibility.
Yeah, lovely. Look, so first of all, open palm gestures, TruthPlane. I mean, I'm going to go back to it every time. And clients will often say, first time they meet me, they'll go, yeah, Mark, but what else? What else? And I'm just that, just that. Until you can do that before you've even walked on under stress and pressure, unless you can do that before the trigger of stress and pressure, you just need that one technique, because the cascade effect out of that, the cascade is just so economically sound. It's going to affect the way your voice works. It's going to affect the amount of oxygen and carbon dioxide going to your brain. It's going to affect your vocabulary. It's going to affect whether you remember what that writer spoke or wrote for you or not, because adrenaline wipes out the short-term memory. And the way to control adrenaline is the levels of carbon dioxide and oxygen in your bloodstream. And the best intervention for the right levels of oxygen and carbon dioxide in your bloodstream is open palm gestures at navel height. You can say all kinds of stuff about, well, breathe in a certain way. Well, that's really hard to control your breathing. But controlling these muscles here, super easy. And those control your breathing. So the cascade and all of that will cascade into the audience and make them think and feel differently. So open palm gestures, navel height. The economics are incredible. Another technique, make a choice, make it bigger, keep it tidy. Okay, decide what it is you're communicating. Okay, just one thing, just one, make a choice. Yeah, I know you'd like it to be 3. Forget it. They're only going to remember 1. Well, they might remember 3, but they're going to do 1 of them. So you better decide which one you want them to do. Because the best you're going to get is they remember 3, but they can do 1 of them. So make a choice. Now that you've made that choice, you need to understand that there is no way they're going to get that. Your choice is too small. It's not big enough. Yeah, it's got to be writ large in some way. So make it bigger. Make it bigger. Make it so big. There's one organization that I'm working with at the moment, and we're doing a lot on social media at the moment, their performance on social media. I'm going, you've got to perform at a level where you think the CEO will walk in and fire you for being too big. Yeah. And even then, I bet you won't be big enough. Yeah. So you've got to get yourself fired at the level that you're delivering this message at. So make a choice, make it bigger. Now, here's what's going to happen. Now you've got this big message is you'll go, oh no, but that might offend those people over there. Oh, and they really like a bit of this as well, don't they? And there's not enough of this for them. And actually, it'd be way more beautiful if I added kind of a counterbalance of this and a little bit of this and a little bit of that, just to equal things out. No, it's messy now. It's messy. Make a choice, make it bigger, keep it tidy. Yeah, it will offend a whole bunch of people. They won't like it. Yeah, they won't like it. What's your alternative? Your alternative is do nothing and stay at home. That's the safest thing. Yeah. And by the way, and often I'll say to clients, hey, before we get into this, is there a way that somebody else could do this instead? Like, let's find out. Because it's going to be stressful if you go on and do this. Regardless of what I do with you, this is a massive risk. Can we get some other mug to do it? Yeah. Because they might do it quite well. Yeah. And then you don't have to pay me. I can go and help somebody else who can't get some other mug to do it. Okay. So you'll save a whole load of money. It'd be way less stressful for you. So we just work out that first of all until we go, yeah, it's your decision. You want to do this. You have to do this. There is nobody else. We're going to have to do this. Let's sort it out. So make a choice, make it bigger, keep it tidy. Last technique for you here, Rick, is I'll give you a technique called My Friend's Amazing. Okay. So all the time I'm communicating to you right now, Rick, and this is performative, but ultimately this is kind of an extraordinary situation. Okay, this is not you and me meeting in in the bar like we normally would. Okay, this is people are watching. They've spent their time, their resource to come here. This is extraordinary. And so in order for this to work really well, I need to do some extraordinary behaviors. And my extraordinary behavior is to think that everybody on this call right now are my friends and they're amazing. Yeah. And so I'm full of positivity around that. So I'm seeing, Claire there and I'm thinking, oh, Claire's amazing. I love Claire. Claire's fantastic. My friend's amazing. And I'm just thinking that all the time. It doesn't matter what she does. If she got up and left, I'd be like, oh, Claire, amazing. She left. Brilliant, brilliant. Good news, good news. Okay. Because there is so much going on here. There is so much trouble, going on here that I have to keep optimistic. Okay. That's not to say that I can't give negative messages. Yeah. But I have to give them like it isn't a funeral. I have to give them with a sense of my friend's amazing. I have to give them with a sense of it's so amazing to give you this bad news. Because that allows you in. That makes you feel like I'm not in trouble right now. Yeah, I'm giving bad news. It might be my bad news, but I'm going to be okay with this. Yeah, I'm going to be okay. I'm not your problem at the moment. And my friend's amazing. I mean, we've all seen speakers go on there or meetings where we go, oh God, they're in real trouble. Oh God, somebody save them. Like I wish we hadn't asked them to do this. This is appalling for them. And you're embarrassed for them and you want it to stop. You want it to stop and end for them. Yeah. My friend's amazing will stop that feeling. Yeah. So it's a performative countermeasure. Hope that makes sense to you, Rick.
Yeah, it's amazing. I haven't heard that one before. That's great. We're going to just ask the audience quickly if there's any couple burning questions they want to ask. I'm going to get to our last slide, and I'm going to remind people that are local in Toronto, GTA, that if they also want to continue the conversation, that we're going to have our mixer, our pub night with NCCA Canada on June 25th, and they're more than welcome to join us there if they haven't bought a ticket yet. So any immediate questions in the audience that are burning and you want to ask now?
Would love to hear from you.
Let's get a couple of them. And you can unmute yourself or you can write it in the chat, one or the other.
Okay, I have a question.
Go ahead, Jen.
Xing, just the post.
Sorry. Yeah, it's such amazing because I love this interview, really. And we talk about communication all the time because in our Christian culture, God created the universe by language. It's amazing that we all can speak, but few of us can communicate. It's two different things, right? But sometimes I'm kind of social phobia because I always overthink, and I think communication is a thing that combines technology, political awareness, culture, knowledge, or something. Sometimes it makes me overthink, and it's a huge burden for me. So I was wondering how you avoid overthinking and make communication very simple and structured and result oriented.
Yeah, perfect. Great question, Jing. Okay, so here's the way I do it. What you're talking about there, from my point of view, is about being self-conscious. So you're really conscious of yourself. Yeah, you're going, look, oh my God, the politics going on here and this going on here and this going on here. But really, it's all about reference to yourself. It's like, how am I going to manage this communication, given the politics here and the politics there and whatever and whatever? You get very self-conscious and flooded with thought. And who do you forget? The audience or the client. Okay. So what I do is I'm always thinking, how can I help you? How can I help you? How can I help you? Yeah. The client or the audience have come for help. They can't get something. There is a barrier in the way, and it's my job to help them remove that barrier in some way. And I'm going to do whatever it takes in order for that to happen. And I just focus on that. And so if somebody comes to me afterwards, maybe I've done some training or a keynote or had a chat with them, and they go, hey, I didn't think that was very good. I'm like, oh, okay, well, just trying to be helpful. Just trying to be helpful. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't apologize. I don't go, oh, well, I'll try and do better. What could I do better? Yeah. Because I'm already trying to do my best helping you. Yeah. And so if it didn't help, didn't help. There'll be somebody else. There's other YouTube channels. There's other webinars. Yeah. It's a long life. You'll find something. Yeah.
Wow.
So there's my answer to that, Jing. Claire, why don't we bring in your question?
Yeah. So my question is, I was really interested in the piece that you said, Mark, about the 1 minute. If you grab a minute of something and it's not necessarily the right advice in terms of coaching or communication. What I was interested in was what I've observed in perhaps I'm going to pick on politicians and the way that they say they overuse certain phrases. And I was thinking, what might be, I'll give an example, like the overuse of the word look, which seems to be used on the media. And you hear, and now I'm aware of it and I see it on, say on the TV and media, and I see them kind of in interviews using that word. So my question is really, are there things that you see, as of today, as of this month, are there things that people, even with Zoom and webinars, that people are overdoing? They're overdoing it on Zoom or on WebEx.
Okay, just an aside around that look. For me, look, that really came from Tony Blair. And it was a use of some of Bandler and Grinder's techniques around enforcing ideas, embedded instruction. Look was the embedded instruction that Blair was using. And that idea of look then became a bit of a trope used by politicians and some people in business. At the time when Blair first started using that nobody had done that before. And it was really expertly done. Blair's a brilliant communicator, I think, whether you like his politics or dislike them or like him or not. He's one of these brilliant communicators, I think. So what do I see people doing on social media? Here's what I see them doing a lot, which I'm like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? The look away. Yeah, the look away to the side. Yeah, they'll be talking to the camera. And now and again, look, you will see me kind of think over here as I grab a thought and look back at the camera. But you see in social media, like it's a real look away to the side. Like there's somebody else there, and there isn't. It's like there's nobody else there. There's nobody else there. You didn't grab a thought. It wasn't eye accessing of like, oh, what is that thought I'm trying to grab right now? It's that almost look away to the wings of the theater. And there's nobody there for the audience. So the audience don't get it, and it interrupts the energy and flow of what they're trying to get across. And I see that as a trope, either conscious or unconscious. But I think it's just a learnt bad practice, essentially, of not trying to lock the camera. You'll never lock the camera completely. It's really hard to do. Yeah. But of not trying to be insistent on locking down the lens of that camera and just allowing this full, sometimes head turn off to the side. To who? I don't know. It irks me slightly, Claire.
I love all this. I could be on here for hours talking about these things that that we noticed, the overuse of the word. Because I think I was trying to link it back to your statement about the fact that, if you only get a snippet, but you're not getting the whole of the snippet or the whole of the training, then you're kind of missing the point with it, or whichever way you phrase that.
I did have a situation in the UK where I'd given some advice to one of the advisors to a bunch of politicians, with the idea that, if I give this advice, they'll see how it works, and then we'll get you in. Politics has no money. I mean, it just has no. They're just they're so tight. Politicians are so tight. And I'm now at the area where I'm like, look, you're going to have to give me some money, for this. I'm just more of a soldier for hire than I maybe was in the past, shall we say. But ultimately, this information kind of got third hand, second hand passed on. And then the results were absolutely laughable at the other end. And it caused an absolute media storm of like, what are these people doing? Like, where did they get that idea from? It's like, yeah, okay, I see what happened there. Only a tiny fraction of what I'd said for them to do was communicated. And they're only doing that tiny fraction. And they've set it as a rule, not as a principle. So they didn't understand the principle that I'm trying to get across, which isn't a rule. Like, there are no rules in communication. There just aren't any rules. The moment you say, well, here's the rule, somebody's off doing that right now and making a fortune doing it. Yeah, breaking the rule. Okay, so they've missed out that what I was working with was a number of principles, and only one of the principles had been put across and not in reference with the others. And they'd taken it as a rule, and it was madness. It was madness. So a word of warning there.
Let me just piggyback that. What I find interesting is the rule, quote unquote, of the 73855 the Albert Moravian rule. So there's a lot of new people on the communication scene who will quote that. They'll do presentations with it. They'll swear by it. But as you and I know, when you go deeper into the science, that's not what was meant. And for those interested, you can look up Dr. Albert Moravian's work. But the point is, as you said, it's not, that rule does not exist in reality for all sorts of communication scenarios. So best not to quote it anymore for those that are.
Yeah. And listen, to get across the actual science about it, the real science behind it, is quite a long process, like a lot of science. Yeah. So when I hear people quote that at me as a question, I usually will not destroy the question and go, look, that's just completely wrong. I'll just move on to something else.
Yeah.
Because to take the time to deconstruct what that's put up, it takes, too long and isn't helpful.
No, not in the moment at all. Let's help them understand their verbal and nonverbal communications and let them forget the math as soon as possible.
Right.
We have a question in the chat, and this will be the last one, I think. It's Ant, and he says, thanks, Mark. We're here because you're an exceptional communicator and an inspiration. Give us an idea of how you're seeing the world right now. What's your worldview? Not a bounded reply, just free form. So just what's your worldview? I know.
Wow. What's your worldview?
That's what it says.
I mean, it's a very big thing. It's a very big and interconnected thing, and it's been going a long time, and we've been going quite a long time on it as well. And so my worldview at the moment, I mean, one of the worldviews that I'm putting across, and I think I've had this view for a long time, and I said it in a recent article that I wrote, is that I'm not a Luddite. The Luddites were the people who thought the mechanized loom was a bad thing. To mechanize, through a process mechanized, create cloth. They were like, this will be the death of us all, And so I think people are a little bit similar around AI. And they're going, yeah, this technology is absolutely going to kill human beings. And I'm like, no, technology never has. It's never done that. And so what always happens is they say, yeah, but this time it's going to be different. And what I say is like, yeah, but every time they've said this time is going to be different, it's turned out not to be different. And then they say, no, this time it is going to be different. It's like, it's never been like that. It's never been. Human beings, my worldview is that the world is incredible and human beings are extraordinary. And we have this amazing way of fixing problems. Yeah, we create a whole bunch of them. I concede to that. But we have amazing ways of fixing them, and technology, our ability with technology is extraordinary. And so worldview, I'm what's called a protopian, which means I'm not a utopian. I don't think things are amazing right now, or I don't know how they'd be amazing. I'm not a dystopian. I don't think things are terrible at the moment. I think things are always getting markedly better over time. And I think history tells me that. Like, everything gets remarkably better over time. Yeah. And if there's an element of it that doesn't feel better right now, it's going to get better. History tells me it's going to get better, and that we'll be part of that. So there's my worldview. I hope that was interesting.
That was very interesting. It's very much different from people who watch the Terminator series.
Okay. It's a great film. I love that. I love a dystopian nightmare.
I'm not saying it's me, but it might be.
Margaret Atwood just lives over the road from me. So I'm, like.
Right. So let me wrap things up. This is what we've done today. So thank you so much, Mark, for contributing in this wonderful conversation. And it's always interesting to get this opportunity to hear you speak and to interview you and to go further than last time. I love it. So wrapping this up, obviously my advice to everybody would be go practice, whether you're live today or whether this will be on our YouTube channel, you're seeing this at a later date, go practice. And if you need to research, but that's the way you're going to solidify some communication skills or understanding. If you have questions for me about NCCA, et cetera, you can email me, Mark. I put Mark's email address as well. You can ask him anything. Find us on LinkedIn, et cetera. We do have a newsletter if you're interested to stay in touch. And as I said before, our events page is there. NCCA offers free webinars like today. The next one coming up is June 25th with East and West Learning Connections, then July 15th and 22nd with the City of Toronto. Those topics will be business communications-ish, anywhere from getting buy-in and elevator pitching and, or sorry, not elevator pitching, but networking and then proper pitching skills. For those of you that are interested, there's a Toronto Mixer where we're going to mix communication coaches, other coaches, and business people together. It's a small, semi-private event. So if you're interested, please register with Eventbrite. Tickets are low cost because we are a nonprofit, but we do want to manage our people. And Mark will be there, I'll be there, and we'll be chatting a little bit like today. We'll start off the conversation, and then we'll just let people jump in and pick his brain. So thank you very much for everyone that attended. If you have any questions, please let me know. And in the meantime, stay safe. Good luck. Go be a good communicator. Go practice. Thanks again, Mark. Once again, thank you so much for your
contribution. My pleasure. Thanks all for coming. Thanks,
Rick.
Everyone. Appreciate it. Thanks, Jing.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Sandra.
Have a great day.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Good to see you all. Thanks to everybody for coming. Great to see you all. Bye now.